as an eye care professional, as an optometrist, we always think we have all the answers, right? But to actually have a patient, someone that sits in a chair that we prescribe to, have a conversation with me and let us know if we're really doing what we're supposed to do, if we can step our game up, to me, is priceless. So I just want to say thank you before we even get started this evening.
Thanks. Yeah, what I'm here to help, and I'm hoping we learn from each other.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a bi-directional thing, right? We learn from each other, and then we're able to go out and spread the gospel about the importance of eye care as a team, as a family, right? But before we get started, I must admit, your glasses are flying fresh. They look good. I don't know who styled you, but they knew what they were doing, and I just love that metal, that aviator style. I almost want to put my aviators on.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, my glasses. I someone really helpful, really resourceful. She was helping me out, and she was giving me good tips. And I'm like, you know what? Let's go for it. I've never had this. So I did it. I went for it.
And that's the cool thing about eyewear, right? You can always just change it up. I always tell everyone, when it comes to eye care and eyewear in general, you have that functional piece where you can see, but there's also the fashion piece where you can be fly, fresh, really let your personality out as well. So that's awesome to hear. But hey, check it out. I want to jump into your mindset. I want to jump into your experience. But before we do any of that, we have to share with all the listeners, all the followers out there, who you are. Who is Lupe? If you don't mind, maybe sharing with us where you're from, what you do for a living, maybe a fun fact. Let's get to know you a little bit better before we jump too deep in this podcast.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Well, my name is Lupe. I live in Chicago, born and raised in Chicago. I work as a special ed classroom assistant, and I just finished my master's program, so I will be pursuing being a teacher very soon. And random fact about me, I like arts and crafts, so like the stuff behind me, I made.
I see. I see, and I love it. And the thing I love about it is the pop of color. And also, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big deal.
It
That's
is.
awesome. And so,
Thank
how are you going to celebrate? What are you going to do to celebrate?
I legit, like, I since the New Year's coming in, I legit thought I'm gonna get me a new pair of glasses.
Oh, wow.
Like, this is something I'm gonna do. I need a new change, and, like, I just little things like that. Because right now, I don't have teacher salary, so I gotta I gotta work my way up. So little things like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, let's talk a little bit about your journey, right? I started first wearing glasses probably when I was 18, 19 years old, right? And my whole story was, my mom said, "Son, I have insurance. I'm paying for it. Take your butt to get your eyes examined." And I went, right? And I needed glasses. But that's my story. Not as much fun, but I'd love to get to learn a little bit more about maybe your experience, to hear from a patient's perspective of what that experience was like and how it changed your life as well.
I wore glasses for the first time in about, I think it was third grade. It was third grade that I wore glasses first, and I think it was like the exams that they do at school. Um, and my mom got notified that I could need glasses, so she took me to a doctor to get checked, and they're like, "Yeah, you kind of need them. You kind of need them." And I remember that first pair that I got. It was, big chunky frames were really in when I was little at that time. So I remember the frame. It was blue, pink, and yellow, and it was big pair. And I remember putting them on and just feeling really dizzy. Like, I don't think these are it. And little by little, like, super clear, super awesome, and the love started from there.
Awesome. I love it. And it's one thing to have that functional piece to be able to see. But let's talk a little bit more about the fashion piece. I mean, what was that experience like, walking from that exam lane and walking to where they sell the glasses? How were the eyewear consultants in regards to finding the right frame and the right lens solutions?
I think back then, like as a kid, I don't remember the process of choosing them, but I do remember I wanted something colorful. I
Okay.
think if you were to look back at my classroom pictures, I think I'm always the one wearing a pop of color. I think I decided to wear like a hot pink shirt, and everybody's wearing pastel and, like, I always wanted pops of color, and I think that that was something that as a child, like when you don't know what you want, so they're giving you suggestions based off of what you say. So I think that the listening part was really, really good, and I think that trickled into adulthood. Like I had to figure out what do I need to say so that the people can choose some really good options for me to look at.
I love it. I love that. And tell me this, and that's a great point. What really got your trust of the eyewear consultants, of the opticians? What made you say, I trust these people? I understand they're looking out for me. Were there any factors that just really helped you to know that I need glasses, I'm gonna wear glasses, and I feel like I'm in good hands with this team?
I think it's like first impressions. I even now as an adult, every time I walk in, it might be a different person. Maybe the person you're used to is off on that day. The first impressions, as soon as the person greets me, that is kind of the beginning part. Sometimes they'll strike up a conversation like, "Oh my God, I really love your scarf," or like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I love that type of small talk." It feels like it's not a transaction. It feels like we're starting a mutual relationship of like acquaintances or friends, and that's the environment that I want to be in when I choose my glasses. So it's that was really cool.
I love that, and I think that's very important for all my colleagues out there to listen or hear. Right? We need to have more relational relationships, not transactional relationships. And some things that you can do in your practice to have that relational relationship is really just listen. Right? Don't always run your mouth. Open up your ears, and you'll be amazed by what you're able to get out of your patients and what type of relationship that you can develop. Something that you touched on earlier prior to this podcast that you had told me that you really, really love was that when you were picking your eyewear, you were able to see yourselves. You saw folks with the same background, the same ethnicity, the diversity, and it just made you feel welcome. If maybe you don't mind, touching on that a little bit, because with eye care, one of our goals is to create more diversity in this arena, in this profession. And I think hearing it from a patient and understanding the importance of it will really resonate with some of the eye care professionals out there.
No, yeah, I've been wearing glasses as a child. My parents were always with me, and they don't speak very much English. So having someone that can talk to me and my parents, it felt easy. I didn't have to do very much work because we were all talking to each other. And I think that warmth that was provided, they were asking my parents things, but then they were also asking me things. And I think that when I'm a child, you would assume that, all right, mom and dad are going to pick me some ugly frames, and that's that. And I love that they were able to ask me questions in Spanish where like my parents heard what they were asking, but I was saying my answers, and they're like, "Oh, but mija, you like this color, don't you? Or don't you prefer something smaller because your cheeks might bump into them?" And it was, I think overall it's like little moments like that that just make it that much better.
I love it. I love it. Now, that's fantastic information, fantastic advice. Everyone listening, make sure that you understand the importance of diversity, but producing a relational type of atmosphere and environment for your patients so that they can tell you everything that they need and they feel comfortable as well. Now, Lupe, I want to kind of switch gears here. And today I really want to, number one, give a shout out to Transitions Optical for partnering with us on this podcast. But I really want to talk about your journey in the world of light sensitivity and photophobia. And, I really want to start with, I guess, the most recent eye exam. Because over the last year, with your most recent eye exam, you have really been able to elevate your lifestyle. You've really been able to take it to the next level, and you've really been able to find out some things that you didn't even know about yourself. So maybe if you could touch on, what that experience was like in the exam room, and what that conversation looked like as you started that journey through light sensitivity.
Yeah, I think light sensitivity was something that I know has always been there, but it wasn't up until like my high school years that the doctor was kind of just I think that when you have your vision exam, there's that bright light that they shine in your eyes,
Yeah,
and year after year after year, I would always need like tissues because my eyes were always watering because of that particular part of my eye exam. And
sure.
I think it just occurred to my doctor to just like, hey, like you seem to cry a lot with this part of the exam. Does this happen often, like, when you're outside? And I'm like, oh yes. And then, he was just like, what about bright lights at school? And I'm like, oh my God, yes, all the bright lights in the school all the time. And he was just like, oh well, maybe you might want to consider, doing transition lenses. And I'm like, what's that? I don't know what that is. And I think that my parents were very welcoming to helping me warm up, because it's my health that's at stake here. So they wanted me to be good. So they're like, all right, we'll give this transition lens a shot. And I use them ever since, and I've never stopped using transition lenses. I've been like a hardcore user of transitions since high school up until now. This last year has been way more elevated in the sense that I am finding myself more as an individual. I know what I like and what I don't like. And I live in Chicago. I live near the lake. I have a dog. I work at an elementary school, so I do recess duty. So I'm outside, I'm inside, I'm everywhere all at once. And having lenses that are polarized lenses that I could wear outside by the lake, amazing. Like I think this past year I've really come out of my shell in a way. So it's been beneficial.
Oh, look, I love that. And this is all music to my ears. I mean, this is why, as eye care professionals, we have to do digging. We have to dig. We have to dig into our patient's lifestyle. I mean, just everything that you stated is going to help us really prepare the right solution for you. I mean, I heard you're outdoors, lake, active, student, about to graduate, graduation, dog. I mean, all these things are going to produce light sensitivity. We are surrounded by light, right? I mean, you look at fluorescent lighting, you look at the sun, you look at your cell phones, your smart TVs. All these things have an impact in how we function. And sometimes we don't realize that it is light sensitivity that's impacting how well we're able to function. So just taking that extra step to have that conversation and listen and probe and pay attention to your patient's movements can really go a long way. And I think you're a prime example of that, Lupe.
Yeah, it's a lot of listening parts. It's a lot of parts, moving parts, but they worked out so well for me. I'm very happy.
And let me ask you this: as a result of that conversation with your physician, with your optometrist, um, how loyal are you to that practice? Now, do you feel like you're going to continue to always go there for your eye exams, being that they found something and they took that extra time to have a conversation? Like, how loyal will you be moving forward when it comes to getting your eye exam?
So the doctor that I did use as a child was only for children. So like I had to leave. I was kind of I got the boot, I had to go. I as an adult, it took me a few years to find a doctor I was very comfortable with, because a lot of the times it did feel very transactional and it did feel very forced. I almost resorted to like buying online, like ordering glasses online, because I'm like, I really like the in-person interaction. I like that process of talking to someone
Yeah.
versus just ordering something online. It felt very cold, and I'm like, I want to have that person to person contact. So it took me a few years to find a doctor, and the doctor I have now, I see him every year, and I would not change him for anything. I will continue to be with this man all the way until the very end.
And I'm pretty sure this is just due to them taking that extra time and having that conversation with you, right?
Yeah, big
Yeah,
time.
that's golden. So what I want to do is I really want to spend a little more time on this light sensitivity. Clearly, your doctor, fantastic, just great listener, able to prescribe from the chair and find the right solutions. Something that I love about transitionings is that they have great resources for doctors, great resources for patients. And one of the resources that they have is actually an online light sensitivity test. And I would love to maybe just shoot through this light sensitivity test with you, if you don't mind. Are you
Yeah,
game for it?
yeah, I'm game.
All right, well, let's do it. Can you see the screen there?
Yes, I can.
All right, for those that are listening to this on audio, we're actually on transitions.com. They have a quiz, and it's for patients to do prior to them walking into your office. So Lupe and I are going to run through this. This quiz is about 2 minutes, and it asks, very key questions, and it allows us to really see what buzzwords are there, what trigger words are there, what things really cause light sensitivity and what degree of light sensitivity they may have. So the first question up, Lupe, is do you squint when you walk around on bright sunshiny days? Yes, I do sometimes. No, not me.
Yes, I do.
All right, awesome. Let's take it to the next one. You come back inside on a bright day. Do your eyes take a few seconds to adjust? Totally, sometimes, or not really.
Totally.
Gotcha. All right. So for overcast days, can you feel the light feels too intense even when there's no bright sun? That's a yes. Sometimes, no, not for me.
That's a yes.
All right. All right.
This is good.
And do your eyes feel triggered by harsh indoor lighting? Yes, they do. Sometimes, not so much.
Yes, they do.
I think I already know where this is going.
Yeah.
And when driving during the day, do your eyes take a while to adjust as you look around, sunshine, glare, surroundings? They sure do. Sometimes, not so much.
I would say sometimes.
Gotcha. All right. And do you dim your smartphone screen to take the edge off the light? Yes to that. Sometimes, not really.
Oh, yes to that.
All right. I got you. All right. And after working all day on the computer, do your eyes feel sore, strained, or sore? Yes to that. Sometimes, not really.
I would say yes to that.
All right. Now we're kind of shifting gears here, right? This is more of a question where we need an answer of rarely, sometimes, and frequently. And how often are you exposed to light in these situations during your week? When you're outdoors, is it rarely, sometimes, frequently?
Frequently.
All right. And what about indoors?
Indoors, frequently.
All right. Digital work and life?
I would say often or
Okay. Sometimes.
sometimes, yeah.
All right. And commuting and mobility?
Sometimes.
Okay. All right. We'll hit that next. And where do you need to perform at your best during your week? Again, we have outdoors, indoors, digital work life, communicating, and mobility. Where do you feel like you need to be at your best? Outdoors, is that pretty much rarely, sometimes, or frequently you need to be at your best outdoors?
No, frequently.
Frequently. All
Yeah.
right. And what about indoors?
Also frequently.
Digital work and life.
I would say sometimes.
Okay. And commuting and mobility.
I would say frequently.
Gotcha. All right. So this is cool, right? So you take that information again, it's 2 minutes. Colleagues out there, imagine just putting this in the hands of your patients, right? And letting them take this before they walk into your office. Now you have an amazing talking point when they come into the office. Your patients are actually coming in with information telling you what they need. And it's more of a partnership. It's more of a trust builder. It's more of just a great opportunity to find that solution for that patient. Because when they're done, what they actually get is a profile. You click see my profile, and it actually gives you a rank in regards to how light sensitive you are. And in the case for Lupe, it looks like you're 93 out of 100. So I can say you're definitely pretty light sensitive. And the piece that I really love about this is that it really guides the patient, right? It tells you that, hey, your permanent pair, you may need transitions extra active, the new generation option, or maybe that polarized option. But most importantly, it talks about multiple pairs, right? It says, hey, there's an occasional pair that you may want to look at, transitions drive wear. So it really cues the patient up to have a more educated approach about the lens solutions. It makes it easier for the patient flow when they walk into your office. And the piece that I really love is that it goes into a virtual try-on. So not only are the patients getting educated about the products and the lenses, but they're able to see the colors. They're able to play around with the frame shape. They're able to see different frame shapes and what it looks like on their face and do a virtual try-on. And the most important piece on this, in my personal opinion, is that they can actually find an eye care professional in their area, which is huge, that actually offer transition lenses. So this is something that you definitely want to be a part of, colleagues. Make sure you step your game up. Make sure that you're educating your patients. Make sure you're pointing to online resources to make the patient flow better, but also to have educated patients when they walk into your practice. It's game changing. I mean, would you agree, Lupe? I don't want to do all the talking here.
Oh yeah, that looks so sophisticated. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. It's a one-stop shop. I love it.
Right. And I mean, the way we live, we do everything online, right? So any kind of knowledge we can have prior to going into a practice or getting our eyes examined, it's just going to make things better. I mean, think about how you consume everything, right? If I'm going out to eat, what's the first thing I do? I go to the website, I go to their social media, I go to their reviews, and I get all that information. And it's the same thing with eye care. It's the same thing with healthcare. You want to make sure you have the resources on your website to make patients feel more comfortable before they walk into the practice.
For sure.
Awesome, awesome. So, this has been great. We've really touched on a lot of different things in regards to, making this more relational, having the right lens solutions for the patients that are there, being loyal to a practice once you find someone that really sits down and listens. But I would love to just learn a little bit more about your lifestyle after being fitted with transitions.
I think that once I got transitions, it was definitely a game changer for me because I felt more comfortable being able to go outside. As a kid, my mom would take, we used to live across the street from a park. And so every summer, every day, we would go to the park. And you would catch me like maybe 70% of the time underneath the tree to catch some shade because the light was too bright. I didn't do very much. And I'm like, I can only be on in the sun for a little bit. Once I had transitions, I was a teenager, so I was still kind of active. Like I still like, running around and being outside. And it made a huge change because I felt like I was able to do things for much longer. I'm like, wait, I've been out here for like 30 minutes. What? And it just, and as an adult, like it makes it that much more easier to just go anywhere that I want without having to worry. I think even thinking about the pandemic, I'm running out. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot my mask. I have to go back there. Wearing transitions, I don't have to worry about grabbing a second pair or something like whatever's on my face, it's got my back no matter what conditions I'm in. So it just felt it feels easy.
Yeah, I love that. And that's what we want in life, right? We want it easy. We want life on autopilot because we got so many major decisions that we have to make every single day. And to not have to think about what pair of glasses are on my face and I could just roam through, a bright, sunshiny day, overcast day, get in my car, go into my office, look at a computer and know that I'm protected, it's just priceless, right? And, something that we have to realize is that, not every patient understands that they're light sensitive, right? Sometimes we just have to ask those additional questions. We have to probe, we have to do the digging, but it's very important to make sure that your entire team is a part of that process, from the front desk to the technician to the doctor to online to using these resources that these amazing partners like Transitions and SLOR provides. These are things that patients are looking for, and this is what's going to elevate your practice. So make sure you definitely leverage what's at your fingertips to make that patient journey and experience better. Now, Lupe, I don't want to hold you up all evening, and I just want to say thank you for all this great information. You have changed my perspective and how I want to communicate with my patients moving forward. But I would love for you to give some advice to all my eye care professional friends out there, all the optometrists, all the opticians, all the eyewear consultants, all the eye care executives. Being in your position, being a patient, what piece of advice can you give us to make sure that we make that patient journey a better experience and more impactful?
Um, I would say to get to know the patient just a little bit. And I think understanding lifestyle is probably when you mention that, that's probably your in as the person who's trying to sell me, glasses. That's your in to get to know me as a person, but to also get to know what my day-to-day life is. And it's a win-win for both. Like I get to you get to learn about my world and you get to suggest things for me and I get to learn and tell you that doesn't work for me or this does work for me.
I love it. I love it. I hope everyone was listening. It's all about a partnership. It's all about relational relationships. It's all about listening. It's all about taking those extra few minutes to understand the person that's sitting in front of you. Every patient may not know what light sensitivity is. They may not know what dry eye is. They may not know anything that you find in that exam room in regards to a certain condition. But it's very important to do probing and understanding their lifestyle. It's very key to make sure you understand that person that's sitting in front of you. Lupe, I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of eye care for letting us in the mind of a patient and walking us through this patient journey of light sensitivity. Thank you so much. Stay healthy, stay positive, stay blessed, and continue rocking those cool glasses. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Until next time, we'll see you. Have a great one. All right, colleagues, and it's a wrap. Thank you dearly for hanging out with the Defocus Media team. We hope truly something resonated with you. And if it did, be sure to give us 5 stars and make sure you follow us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you named it. And our handle is at Defocus Media on all platforms. And until next time, be sure to keep it 2020, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Oh, wow.